Welcome to Imperfect Genius, the podcast that provides insights into navigating the business development journey and offers advice on building successful careers in the tech industry. I'm your host, Rachel Foster, a tech professional, educator, and entrepreneur. Hey, everybody. So this is my last episode in the networking mini-series that I've been doing for the past 2 months. And it's the penultimate, the second to last episode of season 4. By the way, if you don't know what penultimate means, that's fine. I didn't know what it meant until I started watching Game of Thrones. So like people were like, oh, it's the penultimate episode of the season. I was like, what does that mean? It just means second to last. So yeah, so this is the second to last episode of season 4. I'll come back after this week's episode and just do a quick wrap up for season 4 and talk about season 5. But for today's episode, though, I am so excited because I am joined by 2 of my favorite people in the world, especially 2 of my favorite people to chat with, Yazzie Agyekum and Kory McDow. Welcome.
Yay! We up in here.
Yes. So first of all, Yazzie, welcome. I think this is your first time actually joining the podcast. So even though you have been featured on the cover, you've been a part of the cover at least twice before. I don't know if you knew that. So you were on the cover when I was doing the networking episode where I was just talking about meeting up for people for brunch. I was like, oh, it doesn't have to be networking, doesn't have to be hard. It could just be like meeting a colleague for lunch and it could turn into real relationships. And so you were on the cover for that one, but also I did an episode in year 1, so 2 years ago, about finding community, and I talked about Black Girl Magic, and there was a shot from Afrotech. It was everybody's faces were pixelated, like blurred out, like it was like an abstract view, but you were in that shot, but you couldn't really make out anything. So you've actually been on the cover twice. Yeah, you've been on the cover twice, but this is your first time being here. Yeah, so you're kind of famous.
Exciting. Oh my goodness. No, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited it worked out.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. And Kory, I think you get the award for most frequent guest.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. This is your 4th time being on the podcast. Did you know that?
Oh, no. I was going to guess 3rd, but
nope. So your first time was part of the League of Extraordinary Educators when we did it with Videhi and Tom and Emma. So you were there. That was your first time. The second time was when we talked about managing multiple websites, which is when we got into the whole side discussion about your domain addiction and diehardisachristmasmovie.com, So that was then. And then there was an episode we did. I think it was a season 3 finale. It was Finding Your Joy with Kory McDow.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about how tech, you can get burned out in tech and just going and finding like whatever is the thing. But so back to, what we're talking about today. Like I said, I've been doing this mini series on networking, and the gist of it is what I've been saying is that it doesn't have to be like this really, extravagant thing. Like you don't have to go to all the conferences and all the meetups and all, like it doesn't have to be like a conscious effort at all times. It can just be organic. You can just, organically connect with the people that you already know to make connections and find out about job opportunities and things like that. And so I just felt the reason I asked you both on was because I felt like you were perfect examples of, when I talk about just being human and letting your network grow organically, I feel like both of you are really good at doing that and really good at, I don't want to use the word using, but leveraging your personal and your professional connections to really great effect. So that's why I ask you both to be on here. So again, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. And then I also wanted to get into, before we go, a little bit about life after tech, because we've all pursued opportunities, like career opportunities outside of the tech world. And we'll talk about that when we get to that. But let's jump into the conversation about networking and talking about like making the most of your connections. So I think, like I said, I think you're both really good at organically making connections and leveraging your personal and professional relationships to explore opportunities. So I want to ask you each, if you were to give an elevator pitch to the listeners about your approach to networking, what would it be? And let's start with you, Yazzie.
Start with me. Okay. My elevator pitch. So I would say 2 things. One, it's okay to make friends at work. I know that people might tell you we're not friends, we're coworkers, or you can't trust your coworkers. And I'm not here to tell you that those statements can't be true, but rather, I really challenge people to ask yourself, why do you enter a new environment with that mindset? It's okay to make friends at work. And it's also okay to realize that not everyone is or can be your friend. So my approach is at least give it a shot and see if it sticks. And second thing, success in the professional world is very much, follows the saying, it's not about who you know or what you know, it's about who knows you. People are opportunities, and you should really make the most of that.
Awesome. I agree with that. And I just realized I normally start off every episode talking about how I know everybody on the episode. And I forgot to start there, maybe because like I said, Kory, you've been here a million times. Everybody already knows how I know you. No, I'm just kidding. But we could have some new listeners. So let's go there. We all used to work together at New Relic. And you know what? I'm struggling to remember how I met either one of you. Meaning, like, Kory, I think we might have met when I joined it was when I joined the New Relic. What's the name of the training team? I don't even remember what the name of the training team was.
Enablement, global enablement.
Yes, the enable. Yeah, when I joined the enablement team. So when I first started there, I was in developer relations, and then when I moved over to the enablement team, you were on the enablement team already, right?
Yeah.
I think that's how we met, and I don't even. We didn't even like work together. Like, how did we end up like?
We worked on one project together. You were called in to project manage a project. We're updating some documentation, and you got to see me like being super particular with layouts and everything.
I appreciated that. I appreciated that. Like, I'm very visual. I feel like Yazzie can appreciate that too. We used to like lament about like presentations when people would do like crappy presentations. It's like, can you just take a minute to just like focus on a presentation? So then Yazzie, how did we meet? I mean, was it through Black Girl Magic?
So we've talked about this before, and I think maybe we had different ideas of when we first met. My idea of when we first met was when there was like an in-person training in the Atlanta office, like an in-person sales training in the Atlanta office. And I went in not as a salesperson, but as a certified yapper, and just was there to make friends and talk to everyone and be that HR person that's all in your face. And then you and I just like ended up in a room together eating the lunch.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. But I felt like we met before. I remember ending up in a room because we were going to go get lunch together. But then we ran out of time. And then we ended up just finding an empty office or something and just eating lunch in there. I remember that part. But I thought we had met before that. But I could be wrong. Yeah, no, I remember that, though. I remember that. Okay, so sorry, I digress. We were doing the elevator pitches, and Yazzie, you had mentioned making friends at work. And so again, both of you obviously ended up being friends at work and then friends outside of work. So I just wanted to follow up on that because I was like, oh, I forgot to mention how we met, because it was like, it's a good example of what you were just talking about, right? Like, why wouldn't you make friends at work? So sorry, I just wanted to follow up on that. With that, though, Kory, it's your turn. What's your elevator pitch for professional networking?
My elevator pitch is that I don't do it. I don't network.
Say more.
I don't network because I feel like it puts a lot of pressure. Like, am I networking the right way? Am I doing this? What am I supposed to say? How do I? I don't even think about all that. I just be friendly. I just talk to people, and I just talk to people and see what story. Why are we in the same place at the same time? And just get curious, like just seriously get curious about how do we end up here? Okay. And then you find out of something that you have in common, because I feel like you have something in common with every single person you meet. So what I try to do is just figure that out. Are we both into anime? Are we both into movies? Do you like to play video games? Like whatever it is. And then we just talk. And then at the end of it, it's like, oh, okay, we got something in common. Let's talk about that. And whether it's at work or where I'm out and about, it just happens. And then you connect with people. And then from there, it's like, an opportunity comes up. It's like, oh, yeah, I do this thing. And then people want to be helpful. And I want to be helpful. And so when somebody's like, oh, I was thinking about this, I'm like, oh, I got the thing for you. I can help you. Let me help you. And then it just builds from that. And so, yeah.
Yeah, see, and I think that's the perfect example of what I mean when I say just be human. So like that was why. So I was surprised when you gave your answer when you said I don't. I'm like, this dude is the most networking guy I know. I'm like, he knows everybody. He's got like, because I was thinking about like how you did, your Kickstarter for No Context, and I was
Yeah.
just thinking about like other opportunities you've done. I'm like, what does he mean he doesn't network? But then as you went on to explain, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And
Yeah.
again, it comes back to the point that I was saying about just be human and just be organic. So let me ask if either of you has like one or two examples of however you consider networking, or how like your connection, how you leverage your connections to, that led to a job opportunity or something that you really wanted, just if you have any examples, and whoever wants to go first, you guys can arm wrestle over it.
Kory, please go ahead.
All right. One story I have is I used to work at the very first tech company that I used to work at. I was friends with one of the account executives, and we would have some meetings together, and we would just talk and go hang out. I saw him on the Max one day, and I said, "Hey, how you doing? It's been a minute," because he had moved on to another company. I said, "It's been a minute. How you doing?" And we just kind of talked for like three stops, and just caught up. And I mentioned, I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for another opportunity because I got to get out of here." And so he was like, "Oh, okay. Hey, let me put you in touch with somebody." So he put me in touch with somebody that he knew. I met up with that guy. And then he said, "I know who you should talk to." Met up with a colleague of his. And then I met up with her, and she's the reason why I got to New Relic, because she was like, "Hey, look, let's sit down. Let's update your resume. Let's, figure out your cover letter. And then you put me as a reference." And I was so thankful that she took the time that afternoon in a coffee shop, just helping me with my stuff. And so that was an opportunity that started from somewhere way different. And that's how I got into New Relic. So
again, so that's why I was so shocked when you were like, "I don't." I'm like, "But you do, don't you?"
Yeah.
So yeah, no. Again, it wasn't an intentional like, "Oh, I need to go make this connection with this person," and like, trying to be like the schmarmy salesperson kind of thing. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying. What about you, Yazzie? You got any examples?
Yeah. I think my best example, so when we went to Afrotech that one year, all of us, I had very strategically made a goal for myself that I wanted to approach every one of our competitors and just like, make connections and see if they had any HR openings, because I was ready for my next opportunity. And kind of being that outgoing in person wasn't something I had done for a long time. I was very much that person pre-COVID, but post-COVID, I just like went into a little show. And so for my first time at Afrotech, I was like, let me try to get back to pre-COVID Yaz. And so went up to every single one of the booths by myself, which is just like not something that I was used to at that time. Went up to the recruiters, of course, did the little pleasantries. "Oh, tell me about your company. Do you have any HR openings?" But I also wanted to make sure, just in my true nature, that I didn't walk away without learning at least 2 non-work related things from these recruiters. And so really making that personal connection, right? So like what Kory is saying, it's kind of effortless because you're just friendly and you're just making conversation. And like I said, me certified yapper. So I think I can carry a conversation. I think it's enjoyable. Nobody has told me otherwise, and nobody's really cut me off. So I'm going to stick with that.
Go with what you know.
Yeah.
In talking to the recruiters in that way, the one in particular, I had found out that she lived around the corner from me in Atlanta at the time. And so we ended up bonding just over Atlanta, right? So stop talking about work, anything, and just about Atlanta and what it's like and how we love it. And when I walked away from the booth, I, of course, got her LinkedIn. And, they say you should follow up on LinkedIn. And I mean, she lived around the corner from me. So I absolutely should have got home and just been like, hey, do you want to grab dinner? Do you want to grab drinks? I did none of that. I got home and just like got back on LinkedIn because I didn't find any openings at Afrotech. I just got back on LinkedIn and applied to jobs. And so me and the recruiter, we had a 20-minute conversation, never talked to her again. Afrotech is what, in October?
Yeah.
And about mid-March, she reached out to me on LinkedIn and was like, hey, I've got an opening. Like, would you be interested? And I was like, oh, I'm so flattered that you even remember me after almost half a year.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. And funny enough, like I had actually just started another job. And so no, I wasn't looking, but if you're going to remember me half a year later, yeah, absolutely. I'll see it through. And that job, like I'm so blessed, that job changed the trajectory of my life and of my career. That's how I ended up at Honeycomb and had a very successful 3 years there. And so it's kind of crazy, right? To look back and just think like that very casual 20-minute friendly conversation really stuck with her because none of the other recruiters that I met that day, no one else that I met on that trip reached out. Wow. But her in that little 20-minute casual conversation stuck with her.
And so see, that's what I'm saying. That like that's what I mean when I'm like, just be human. Because like you say, when you're just approaching people with the script, and this was something I said in one of the previous episodes, but I was like, don't go into it with like a script in mind. Okay, I'm going to say this and I'm going to ask about it. Like just be normal. Like, hey, oh, you live in Atlanta? Yeah, I live in Atlanta. Oh, and just talking about what? Oh man, you love that traffic. Whatever it is. Like the traffic is too blasé and like so talking about the weather. But but my point is but Atlanta traffic is a whole other thing. But just having a conversation where they're making a human connection with you. So they're like, she's like, I remember Yazzie and I remember we had that conversation and I remember, that's the thing that is going to stick in people's brains, not the person who's coming up and saying the same script that they've heard, 30 different variations from 100 other people, right? It's the actually making a true connection. That's the thing to do. Like, and that's sort of like the pitch that I've been making throughout this whole series of episodes is that it's actually really not about networking. It's just about like making connections with people and being authentic. So, just so that both of you know, like I started off this little mini series. This is like episode 4 in the mini series or whatever. But I started off with an episode where I just talked about a 15-year journey of like, again, I'm using air quotes when I say networking that led to all of these contract opportunities for me, like literally like just over and over and over again. And it all started when I had my first business, and I'm not going to do the whole story because listeners have already heard it, but just for the two of you, it started when I had my first business, and it was, the Great Recession hit, and money was drying up, and I needed to close the business, but I had contracts with schools that I had to finish up, so I couldn't just walk away, right? So I could only work part-time, but so I was like, you guys know my skills, like I'm a techie developer, super techie Oracle stuff or whatever, and plus a project manager and all those things. And so I was looking for something part-time, and all the recruiters were like, nobody's going to hire your skill set 20 hours a week. Like if somebody's looking for your skill set, they want a full-time person. Like they're like, that's not going to happen. But one of the recruiters was like, okay, let's just go have lunch and let's just talk about, I want to understand your situation and let's just talk about it. And then I'll just, I'll keep you in mind. So we had lunch and I told her, explained the whole thing. I was like, look, as soon as I finish up these contracts, I'm available full-time, but I can't do that right now. And so we talked about it. She's like, okay, good, cool. And then to your point, Yazzie, I think it was like 3 months later or, several months later, she called me up. She was like, because what happened was she was having lunch. So again, she was an executive recruiter. She was having lunch with like this, head of this IT department. And the guy was like, what I really need is I just need somebody who can write SQL like 20 hours a week. He's like, he was like, but he was in his mind, he's thinking, I'm never going to find somebody who's got that skill set who only wants to work 20 hours a week. Like he couldn't afford a full time at that time or whatever. And she was like, I know exactly the person that you need to talk to. So she called me up and she was like, hey, she told me the whole story. And I was like, that's perfect. And so again, it was just after we just had like a normal conversation, we had lunch, we just chatted about it. She remembered the details. And then, so that led to a contract position. And then I was in that contract position for a year. And then a year in, he wanted to hire me full time. I'm like, get back to me in 6 months. My contract with these schools isn't over yet. Like I still can't do full time. And then it converted to full time. And then, I worked at that company and it was in the process of being bought out, but I worked at that company for like 2.5 years, when I started to see the writing on the wall, I was like, yeah, this company's not going to be around for much longer. So I started looking around, and I called her up, and I was like, hey, so I'm looking. She's like, you know what? I was just like, I'm so glad you reached out, because I was just talking to somebody who needed a project manager, and I was thinking you would be perfect, but I was like, too bad she's not available. And so then that led to, me going to AT&T, and it was like a snowball. And the funny story I told, I don't know if I told both of you this story before, about how when I first got the gig at AT&T, so this recruiter had called somebody up. She called up a manager and was like, look, I know you're looking for a project manager, and I know you've got a ton of resumes from a lot of different recruiters. I'm sending you a resume, but I'm just calling you to tell you, just talk to her. She was like, I'm not saying her resume is not good. It's a great resume, but if you just look at it side by side with a bunch of other resumes, you're not going to understand like the level of person you're getting. So just have a conversation with her. So I had a 30-minute phone or screen, like a video interview. This is before the pandemic, but it's AT&T, so they're a telecom company. So of course there was like a video interview, whatever. So it was a 30-minute on a Friday, and 15 minutes into the conversation, I could tell she was tuned out. Like, she wasn't listening to the hiring manager. She wasn't listening to me anymore. And I was like, what did I say? What did I do? I don't know what happened. So after the interview, I called up the recruiter, and I was like, hey, you know what? I don't know what happened, but 15 minutes in, she just completely tuned out. So she was like, really? That's so weird. I'm like shocked. She's like, well, let me call her and see what happened. And, she called her. She couldn't get a hold of her that day. So she's like, well, it's Friday. She might have left for the day. I'll call her on Monday. So she calls me back on Monday. She was like, okay, you were right and you were wrong. She was like, you were right that she tuned out, 15 minutes into the conversation, but you were wrong about the reason why. I was like, okay, well, why did she tune out? She said she wasn't listening to you because she was filling out the paperwork to hire you. She'd already made up her mind. And she was like, I'm done talking. I just need to hire her right now. She was like, literally like swivel chairing, like half listening to me, but like filling out the paperwork. Like, I need to hire this person right now. So like I say, the whole story, the whole mini series started with like that. And then again, like there's been multiple contracts that I've gotten since then. It's just like, and again, it all started like 15 years ago with like meeting this one person and just saying, hey, look, I'm only available 20 hours. What you got? And she's like, well, let me understand your situation. So again, it was just be real. That's all I'm saying. It's just be real. Okay. So yeah. I think that those are some really good examples. I want to ask. So, go ahead. What you say?
Add another story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, on this note, right? And I say this with so much humility. Every single job I have had, I have not applied to. Like, they have reached out to me, and I'm so grateful for it. I mean, like New Relic, the one before that, and the one right after that, they found me on LinkedIn because I was like posting all the time about nothing. Just like, hey, look at this picture of my office because I put a really cute thing on my desk, just very authentically me posted on LinkedIn. I would share like my HR philosophy because I was thinking I would come and change the whole landscape of HR. Like, those folks found me. I mean, Kelsey found me at Afrotech, right? And even after I decided to leave, or at least like take a break from tech, right? Because largely my experience in tech has been in startup, which is a lot. And so when I decided to take a break and left Honeycomb, I was talking to my old manager and just telling her about how I had this epiphany and I want to try out this new career path, but I do still need to pay my bills. And so I'm really good at HR, but I don't really want to do it full time. And how can I figure out how to do it part-time, still pay my bills, and be able to pursue these other passions? And it was actually her who, in interviewing for a job that she ended up not getting, recommended to them that I could come and contract for them. So, because she knew they had a lot of work that needed to be done. She also knew they weren't exactly sure what they wanted. Like, she didn't get the job because she wasn't good at it. She didn't get it because they closed the role entirely. And so she just offered them me.
Wow.
Hey, I know someone who could do the work for you if you're open to a part-time contractor. And now that's how I have been able to continue to pay my bills, is just, this friends and connections and just being authentic and genuine, and somebody that
people want to help just the same way that you want to help them.
Well, and see, and that again, wow, it's like I teed you guys up for like all the stuff I've been talking about, because I was talking about like different types of people to have in your network. And I was like, you need to have advocates in your network, people that are going to advocate for you when you're not in the room, people that are going to think about you and go, hey, you know what? I know I didn't get this job, but let me tell you who you need to talk to. Like, you need those kind of people in your network. And there was something else you just said that what was the last thing you just said, Yazzie? You were like, be authentic, and then
just be cool. Just be you.
Yeah.
There was something else, because it resonated with something else that I said in, like, I was talking about the different types of people. I'm not going to remember it right now, but there was something else. I was like, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'm wrong. The last so inspiring thing I said was help people in the same way that.
No, that's it. That's actually, because the other thing. Thank you. See, you thought you were wrong, but you weren't. No, you were, because that was the other thing. I was like, the other thing is, don't just use people. Like you say, be. When you're making these connections, be genuine, and also think about how you can help them, because then later they will want to help you, because they're like, you know what, Yazzie would do this for me. It's like it's the wanting to. It's like almost like paying it forward or whatever. But just don't just go to people and only contact them when you need something, because people notice that. Like, if you only ever reach out to me because you need something, I'm going to trust me. I remember that. Fair warning, so don't only talk to people when you need something and then don't talk to them any other time, so that's the other thing. Yeah. So you're right, Yazzie. That was the other thing that I was talking about. So I think that, I'm sorry, Kory, you were going to say something?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah. So no, I think that these are all good examples, because I really believe that, whether it's, you're trying to find a job, or you're trying to find, if you're a business owner, you're trying to find clients, even if you're just trying to find a dentist, it's the people that you already know and have a relationship with, who are going to be able to be like your most reliable sources for information and for leads and for finding things. And I think that in your stories that you each gave really good examples of how you knew people in your network. Again, you may not even consider it, because to your point, Kory, you don't think that you do networking, so you may not consider it your network, but there are people that and you talked about how you knew them. But I'm thinking of like people who might be listening to the podcast, who maybe they're new in their career, they're brand new, and they're like, how do I start this mythical network of people? Like, I don't even know where to start. So on that, I wanted to ask you both, did either of you ever participate in the speed networking events at New Relic?
Are you talking about the monthly ones where you would get 6 different people into? Yeah, I did that a few times.
Yeah. So Yazzie, you said no. See, I would have thought you did. Do you know what it was?
Honestly, this is my first time hearing about it.
I'm shocked, because you were in HR. I would have thought that would have been a thing that came out of HR, because here's what let me explain the concept of here's what they used to do. So, and Kory, you said 6 different people. Like, it depends on how many people they had on the call. Like, I was started on them from the beginning. Like, initially there might have been like 30 people on the call, and they would do breakout rooms, and they're like, there's going to be 2 people or 3 people in each breakout room, and you just introduce yourself, and they would give you like a question, like just some random question, not necessarily a business question. Oh, you're shaking your head like that.
Yeah, I didn't do that one. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of a situation. They had it set up where you would meet one-on-one, and they would put 2 random people together, and then y'all would schedule a time, and then you just talk to that one person. That's what I'm thinking about.
That might have been a follow-up to the thing. So the thing I'm thinking about, they would have this one big meeting, and like, I don't even know who the invite went out to. Because I remember, like, I was mentioning, like, in the first call I was on, it was maybe like 20, 30 people. The last time I was on it was like 100 people on the call. But they would do, so like, how big the breakout room depended on like how many they could do and how many people were on the call. So initially it was like, a lot smaller. There might have been like, 2 or 3 people in each breakout room. And by the end, it might have been like 6 people in a breakout room. But basically, they would have just an open meeting. They'd have people come and join. And then they would just send everybody they would take however many participants they had, divided by however many breakout rooms they could do. And they would send people to breakout rooms for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then they would keep shifting like for the next half an hour or whatever. So like, you'd be in a breakout room with 2 other people or whatever for 3 minutes. And there would be like it had like a list of questions or just like topics to talk about. So you'd introduce yourself to the person, and it could be like a random thing. It could just be like, what's your favorite hobby, or, what state are you from, or whatever it was. And then they would you do the breakout room for maybe like I said, I think initially it was like 3 minutes, but then as the breakout rooms got bigger, they'd make it like 5 minutes because you need enough time to meet all the people in the room or whatever. And then
Right.
they bring everybody back to the main room, and then they put you into a new random room so you meet new people or whatever. And they would just do this for like 30 minutes. So like you would just, by the end of, you might not necessarily meet everybody on the call, but you meet several new people possibly on the call. And one of the reasons that this like stuck with me was because I'm going to try not to cry. Uh, I got like the most touching feedback from somebody. So what happened was I was on, this speed networking. This was at New Relic. And so, it's this one of the big ones. Like I said, it's near the end of it, or maybe it wasn't the end of the series. Maybe it was just near me leaving New Relic. I don't know. It was like one of the last ones I was on. And it was big. There was a lot of people on the call. So they couldn't get you. In the early calls, you could meet everybody that was on the call because there was not enough people. So you would, by the end of the half an hour, you probably met everybody on the call. But, when you had a big number of people, you didn't necessarily get a chance to meet everybody. So I was just on this call. And like I say, I had been on it, done this like 4 or 5 times before, like no big deal. Hang up from the call. And then I get a message. And what was the messaging? I want to say like DM. What was our like chat
Slack?
message? Thank you. I was like, how are we chatting with people back then? I'm like, I say that because the contract I'm on right now is Teams. I'm like, it wasn't Microsoft Teams. What were we using? Anyway. So I get a Slack message from this guy, and I can't remember his title, but he was high up. He was like senior, he wasn't senior VP, but like he was like very high up. He was like very high up in his organization. And he sent me a message and he was like, oh, I was so disappointed that I didn't get a chance to talk to you in the speed networking. And I'm like, he must have messaged the wrong person because I don't know who he is. Anyway, so he's like, I saw you on the, in the main room, and I kept hoping that, with all the different rotations, I would end up in a breakout room with you because I just wanted to thank you so much for what you do. And he was like, you did the training for my team because, I was in enablement. He was like, you did the internal training for my team and also for my client. I think he might have been I won't say the name of the company, but it was a large company that I think was one of his major clients or whatever. And he was like, you also did the training for, the external training for our client. And I just think that you were so wonderful at what you do. And and he went into detail about like how good I was at training or whatever. And he was like, this is the part where I'm going to cry. He was like, I just want to give you your flowers. And he put a little flower emoji. It was just so sweet.
Oh,
sorry.
Man.
Try not to
awesome. Cry. He took notes. And that's how you show up, right? Like you showed up for him, just being yourself, not even, trying to make a thing or follow a script. And he took notes because it was that effective,
Right. And that's the thing. Like he was detailed. He wasn't just like, oh, thank you. You did a great training. He was like detailed on you did this and you did this. And so Yazzie, I took that and screenshotted and put it in my 360 review for my performance review. I was like, this is the kind of feedback I get from people, So my point is that's the reason that, the idea of speed networking stuck with me because I didn't know this man. And like I said, he was like several levels above me and he's like telling me what a great job I'm doing. And he wasn't even like my direct supervisor. So I'm like, I'm doing such a good, it was so reaffirming. I'm like, I'm doing such a good job that people are noticing. And that, like, it's always good to get, that kind of feedback. So that stuck with me. And one of the things, one of the reasons I started this podcast, one of the reasons I do all the things that I do for Imperfect Genius was I had such good experiences at New Relic that, trust me, I had some not good experiences at New Relic, but I had such good experiences at New Relic that I wanted to, I was like, this shouldn't just exist in one place at this one company. Because you guys know, I've been doing this for a long time, right? I've been in the industry for a long time. And there were a lot of positive experiences that I had at New Relic that I had never had previously in my career. And I was like, this shouldn't only exist if you just happen upon a company that happens to do these things. Like it should be available for everyone. So I'm always like, back to I don't know why I'm on this pay it forward, tip today, but it's like, I want to pay it forward. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to do like this Imperfect Genius speed networking where I just set up a, monthly or whatever. I set up a thing and I invite the people that I know and I invite the listeners or whoever. And I'm like, everybody come, we're just going to do some speed networking. We're just going to, shuffle people around. Everybody can meet somebody. And then, I don't know, maybe you get something out of it. Maybe you don't. And I'm like, it's not like something I'm trying to charge for or anything. I'm just like, just something to just say, hey, here's an opportunity to meet some new people without having to, go to a meetup or go to a conference or go do all these other things. Like, what's a quick, easy way for people to be able to meet new people? So this is the thing that I was thinking about, and I just wanted to throw it out there. What do you got? What are your thoughts on this?
I love it.
Definitely is a great idea. If I can also circle back to your how do you build mythical network, especially going off of the story that you just told, I think it's important to also recognize, and also to Kory's point about he's not like necessarily intentionally going about building network, but it just comes naturally. Like when you're sitting in a forward facing role, you also have to realize that that is also another probably involuntary means of building your network. I know for me sitting in HR, it's a very forward facing role, and how I show up at orientation for your day one, how I show up when you ask me a benefits question, how I show up when you're going through a really awful situation with your coworker or with your manager and you're trying to lean on someone for that. All of those things matter and do contribute to building your network. One of the highest praises I feel like I've gotten in my career is when we have an involuntary exit, and in their exit interview, in their exit survey, they say like, Yazzie made such a difference in my experience here. And if not for Yazzie, like maybe I wouldn't have stayed so long. And like, I just want to give a big shout out. Like this has happened to me, and I find it so mind boggling because it's like, you just had the most traumatic exit to your job, the thing that's sustaining you. And when you're sitting in front of this survey where you're just in black and white typing all of the things, and that's your opportunity to mind my friends, but really shit on your company.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And you still take those extra seconds to say like, I really loved Yazzie's orientation, and Yazzie is the best HR person I've ever worked with. Like those people now become part of my network. And some of those folks even went the extra mile to find me on LinkedIn and say like, if you're looking for your next opportunity, let me know.
Hit me up.
Right. That's amazing. So
that's something to think about, right? When you are networking, is it can be both voluntary and involuntary, but be mindful of those moments where it is happening involuntarily. And how are you showing up? Is that your true self? Are you being authentic? Are you being genuine? Because people will come and praise you just for being you.
Right. Exactly. Assuming you're not a shitty person, but
well, that part.
There's somebody for everybody. So
that's true. That's a good point. That is a very good point.
True.
Oh, all right. So again, the other thing that any other thoughts on, speed networking or networking in general? Because I was going to switch to the sort of life after tech topic, but any other thoughts on speed networking or networking in general before we move on?
I got one. And it's, So, go to a network events, right? And the ones that I've been to, it's a lot of people, and I don't know anyone, right? And so I used to hesitate and just, see if I could stand close enough to a circle to then be included in it, right? Or
I'm sorry, I have a visual in my head of Kory just like lurking in the background. Yeah, exactly. Just inching closer and closer.
It is that. Or like,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's straight up though. It was like that. And I would leave, having eaten 3 pieces of cheese and drank a glass of warm wine, not having talked to anybody, right? And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go up to somebody and say hi. And that was when I made the shift of, you know what? I'm not a networker. I don't network. Mm-hmm. I go to these networking events and I just go and say hi to somebody. And so I feel like our brain makes it a life or death situation. Like, oh, I'm going to go say hi to this person and they're going to reject me. And, oh no, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like we make up the stories about what's going to happen. And so we paralyze ourselves and don't do anything. So if you do go to a networking event, I just say, pick somebody, go up and just say hi. because I bet you unless they're with a group of coworkers, right? If they're by themselves, they want somebody to just say hi to them because they're probably thinking the same thing of how do I get to talk to people, And so just go up and say hi. Brain might be like, don't do it. Just hi, how are you? And they'll say, hi, how are you? My name is cool. Oh, what brings you here? Boom, done. Questions, answers, talking. Next thing you know, it's like, all right, hey, I'm gonna leave you alone, but I'm gonna go over here now. Like, wait, hold on. I just met somebody else. Let me talk to you, introduce you to them. And then the ball gets rolling. And so
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The anxiety is real. I feel that, I talk a lot about how much I'm an introvert, and I don't think that people, because I talk so much, I'm like, y'all know I talk a lot. The two of you better than anybody else. No, trust me.
We can go in and we just go.
Exactly. But like if I'm going to a networking event or a conference or something like that, like walking in the room, like just the anxiety of like, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do this at all. But then usually, like to your point, it's like, just making a connection with one person, it just leads to talking to somebody else and talking to somebody else. And like, if I would, I think what I would tell myself the next time I'm going into a situation like that is don't focus on the room and the big event. Just focus on, I'm just going to walk over to this table and get a glass of water because y'all know I can't eat the food. Walk over to the table, get a glass of water, and then I'm just going to go stand over here and maybe talk to one person and then just take it from there. It says, but walking into the room. I want to tell y'all a quick story. When I was a kid, I remember this was when I was in middle school. I was going to like some sort of school dance. It was after school or whatever. And it was like in the gym, the thought of just walking through the doors of the gym. And in my mind, everybody was going to turn around and look at me. And I was legitimately trying to figure out if I knew there was a back door to the gym, like that came in from the playground. I was trying to figure out if I could go around the building and come in through the back door because just the thought of walking in the room and everybody might turn around and look at me like that's the level of anxiety I have about like crowds and things like that. So yeah, all that to say, Kory, I hear what you're saying about like, don't focus on, the bigger group. Just focus on having a conversation with one person or just inching over to this group of people.
Oh man, looking back at that did not have a high success rate, but I could have swore I was going to keep doing it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to say hi to folks. Just say hi. Like it don't have to be a bigger thing. If they reject me, it's 8 seconds of awkwardness. Okay. Yeah. Right? Like, I didn't know him before. Don't know him now,
Right. So. Yeah. So what's there to be embarrassed about, right? That you might never see this person again. So I agree with that.
My life's motto since I think I was in grade school, I think like middle school. I don't know. I'm a strange person, but my life's motto since like middle school has always been, you can only make a situation awkward for yourself. Like you have to be the one to make that decision. I feel awkward. But if you walk into it or if you leave it thinking, I can't care. I can't care that was strange and you just keep it pushing.
Yeah.
I don't know. And for me, that's been very motivating to just do the thing. Yeah. If I tell myself, if I want to feel awkward, that's my choice. And also I can make the choice that I can't care. Not that I don't want to or that I don't. I just can't. It's actually not in my best interest.
Yeah.
I like that. I love
that.
I like that. I feel like you're brave. You're maybe a little bit braver than me, though. So I don't know. No, I like it. All right. So I want to end on, I think this has been a great conversation, but I want to end on a up note. So, we all met working in the tech industry, and I think we've all had some unfun examples of working in tech, and we've experienced that feeling. And Kory talks about this all the time, about how he's constantly repeating my thing about the golden handcuffs, which is that, it's, you get a lot of money, but, there's the downside of it. So they're gold, but they're also handcuffs, so,
yes.
So Kory talks about that all the time. So we had that feeling of, the money's great, but, maybe the stress isn't worth it and things like that. So, and we've all pursued other career opportunities outside of tech. So I'm getting to a question here. So what, if anything, would you like to share about your experiences working outside of the tech industry? Kory, how about you?
I'll go first. It's been great. It's been great. For me, why I left the tech industry was because I I got tired of just talking about money. Like, new customers and new ARR and CRR and I got tired of like everything I'm doing is just for more money, and it lost the human side of it, right? For me. Um and so it's been great getting back into that. And there's so many other opportunities out there. So like when somebody's like, hey, I want to get into tech. I'm like, okay, do you want to get into tech because that's where the money is? Great reason, valid reason. Or do you want to get into tech because there's a problem you want to solve that exists in tech or in a tech company, right? And so I feel like if I had gone into tech with I want to solve this problem, I might have stayed a little bit longer because I would have navigated my career to get to be able to solve that problem. I got into tech because I'm like, you know what? This money is good. Unlimited vacations. Okay, we know what that really means, though.
Right.
And so, but yeah, life outside of tech has been great, and I felt like I don't have to wake up early in the morning because my manager is over across the ocean. I don't have to be thinking about it while I'm at dinner because, this project and so didn't get their part done, but that doesn't matter because it still needs to be done by this time. Or I don't have to think about all those things. And it's been nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, you talk about the money. One of the questions I get from adults a lot, is that, and I say that because you guys know I work with kids, but one of the questions I get from adults a lot is like, my son or my daughter or my niece, my cousin, whatever, somebody younger, like somebody who's, maybe in high
Yeah.
school or whatever, maybe college, they want to get into tech. What advice would you give them? And other than just saying, don't, like that's
Rule
the
number
advice I
one.
really want to give is, I say, they should explore the thing that they actually care about. Like if it's just about the money, don't do it. But let's just say they're very creative and they love art. Okay, well then maybe they get into digital, the graphics, or figure out the thing that you love and then how tech might apply to that rather than just thinking tech for tech's sake. Because I think a lot of people think just tech and they think coding and that's the only way to be in tech, which is what, that's what I did. So, if they're asking me that question, that's where I assume their head goes. But I think a lot of people, they're just by default, that's what they think. But I'm like, there's a lot of ways to be in tech. Yazzie's a perfect example, working in the tech industry, but she's an HR person. So there's a lot of ways to be in tech and get that tech money without being a techie, So I don't know, Yazzie, any thoughts on that?
On the
Just,
question, but how do you get into tech?
yeah.
My
Or working outside of tech, either of those two questions.
Yeah. For the how do I get into tech, I do get that a lot. And I think, especially because I'm an HR person, and then people think that I'm a recruiter, which let the record reflect they are not the same. And I am not a recruiter. I do not possess those skills. More power to recruiters because it is a tough job. But my answer to that question is the same that you all have been saying. Like, figure out why you actually want to work in tech. For me, I joined tech because I wanted to make an impact. I joined HR because I wanted to make an impact. Like I said earlier, high and mighty thought that I could come and change the stereotype of HR. Like, HR doesn't have to be scary. It can be your friend. It can actually be a human resource. And tech was a great place to do it, especially for me, because I am just like not your traditional person or HR person. And the tech industry really does give you that space to be yourself and to use your voice and not be this gray blob that's just like doing the same thing every single day. And if that's why you want to join tech, like, I think your reason for joining should be more personal than just, I want to make a lot of money. Is there a lot of money to be made? Absolutely. But is it for nothing? No. And so like you have to consider that, and you have to consider like what is going to bring me joy, but still also allow me to live my life. Your life should not revolve around work. And that is why I left tech, is because I did get, like I said, I was largely, my experience was in startup, which is tough. And it definitely takes a very specific type of person to work in tech, and that's okay. Just the same way it takes a type of person to work in manufacturing or to work in, post IPO tech, all the different industries, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
not a bad thing if you are not a startup-y person. I do think that I am a startup-y person, but I did allow my worth and value to be solely derived from work. And it just got to be too much. And I needed to leave and I needed to take a break. And since leaving, I'm on the same page as Kory. It's great. The sun shines brighter, the grass is greener. I'm so much happier. People tell me all the time now, like, you just have this glow about you. And ultimately, it's not that it was tech per se. It was what I allowed my job to do to me. And so it is important when you want to join tech that you're joining it for the right reasons, because you still have to take care of yourself as a human and as meat and bones and skin and flesh that still has to continue. The company will continue on forever. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And again, it's not about who you know or what you know. It's about who knows you. So be you, present as yourself, and the opportunities will flow in. The right opportunities, the ones that make sense and are right for you.
Wow, here. I feel like that's the perfect note to end on. I know, right? Snap. I'm like, that was like the perfect wrap up. Wow. I was gonna add to it, but there's nothing to be added to that. That's like period, Period. Oh man. You know what? I wish every conversation could be this much fun. Maybe we should spin off our own podcast. I don't know what the topic would be. I don't want to talk about tech, but no, I thank you so much for joining me for this conversation and for sharing your stories and your insights with the listeners. I feel like it's very valuable. And that's, speaking of, like, that's my purpose for this, is to just put value out in the world and just to give people, self-care is real. People need to take care of themselves. I think they need to hear stories. And I don't think that I need to be the one always telling those stories. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, anytime. Obviously, you know that, Kory. This is your fourth
Yeah.
time here. So, anytime.
Yeah. That's Rachel.
Yeah, I was going to
be a 4-timer.
Yeah, exactly. We just, hey, you know what? Next time we go for a walk or we go out for brunch, then we just need to talk about what topics we're going to talk about. So absolutely. Because you know what? I'm tired of talking to myself. So I do too many solo episodes as it is. So awesome. All right. So to my listeners, as always, I want to thank you so much for listening. And I hope that, seriously, if y'all didn't pick up something from this episode, you need to go back and rewind and listen to it again, because there was lots of gems that were dropped. So hopefully you got something out of this, and you can use that for whether you call it networking or not, but, setting up connections and just making real, authentic connections with other people. So hopefully you got something from that. Subscribe.imperfectgenius.com to get our newsletter and stay informed about upcoming dates for things like this speed networking event series that I kicked it off back in last October, only had like 2 events and then put it on pause because I had a lot of things going on in my life. I'm going to be resuming it in June. I'm going to invite Kory and Yazzie to join the first. I'm going to send out invites to people that I know to be like, okay, I'm doing this thing. So, hey, you know what? Join us. Again, just subscribe to the newsletter. I'll send out information about the dates in the newsletter. You can follow Imperfect Genius on social media at Ask Imperfect Genius, and you can leave us a voicemail or send us a text at 404-425-9862. And until next time, this is Rachel Foster reminding you, while your journey may not be flawless, it can be phenomenal. We got